back to my channel, welcome back to Mabeya Football, and today we are going to be talking about the most popular teams here in Africa. We're going to be talking about the most popular teams here in Kenya, and that is Manchester United, Arsenal, and Chelsea. We're going to be talking about the fixtures, the first three fixtures of the season, the first three fixtures of season 2022-2023. Tunaenda kuongelea hizo fixtures and the expectation that we have and the expectation that the fans have for their teams. So we will start by Arsenal. We look at the first three fixtures of Arsenal and discuss about the probably and we have a prediction of what they're going to achieve in the first three fixtures of the game of the season. Talk about Chelsea, the first three fixtures of the season. Have a prediction of how they're going to perform. Manchester United the same, and try to look at where these teams are going to at least get the 3 points from the first three fixtures. So tutaanza na Arsenal, and last season Arsenal didn't start very well. They lost their first three games, and it's very important to look at the first three games. I remember most of the people decided to put Arsenal in a relegation battle because they didn't win the first three games. Unfortunately, Everton that won the first three games was in a relegation battle in the last three games of the season. So it was the vice versa of what most people expected of Arsenal. It was vice versa of what most people expected of Arsenal. So tutaangalia hizo teams, tutaangalia Arsenal, tuangalie game zao za kwanza tatu, alafu tuangalie Chelsea game zao za kwanza tatu, tuangalie vile wataenda kuperform. Tuone the significance of winning your first three games, kama kuna importance ya win the first three games ama ni kipindi tu, like it's a formality. You don't need to be troubled, and you don't need to panic after losing the first three games, because we saw Arsenal lost the first three games, but at the end they were in a conversation of finishing in the top four. So we look at Arsenal. Arsenal will be playing against Crystal Palace. In fact, Arsenal ndio itaanza Premier League. Ndio itaanza game ya Premier League. They will be opening the Premier League. That will be on a Friday, August 5th. They are going to be playing against Crystal Palace away at Selhurst Park, and it will be the first match of the season. So we expect them to get the 3 points. I remember last season they didn't perform very well against Crystal Palace. I think they drew the first game, or they lost the first game. They drew the first game with Crystal Palace. Then they lost the second game. I don't remember well. Arsenal fans, comment in the section below. Tell me how you played against Crystal Palace last season, and tell me the expectation that you have this season against Crystal Palace. It's going to be the first match of the season. So tell me the expectation that you have. Then, secondly, they are going to be playing against Leicester City. Leicester City is a very tricky team. It's on and off. Sometimes they play very well. They gun down the big teams. Unapata wakipiga timu kubwa, mara zingine unapata wanapigwa na timu kubwa, ama you don't understand what they play. But when they play against the big teams, they always try a lot. So beware, Arsenal. You're supposed to be very careful about Leicester City. Then the third game of the season, they will be playing against AFC Bournemouth. So Bournemouth is a newly promoted team, and of course the new promoted team who are gonna kona moral sana kuja kwa Premier League. I remember last season Arsenal played against Brentford. They lost their first match against Brentford, a London team. It was a newly promoted team, so it might be the same thing to Arsenal this season. They must be very careful with the newly promoted team. Most of the time unapata uweze jua vile hao Arsenal wanacheza, uweze jua vile game yao iko, because you've not been seeing them in the Premier League. And then the most interesting thing is that they are being coached by Scott Parker, one of the best young coaches in England. Scott Parker ni coach mwingine mpoa sana. Ni coach mwenye anapenda ball ya ground, like just like ukikumbuka Fulham yake ambayo alikuwa akiwa nayo last season but one ilikuwa Fulham ambayo ilikuwa inacheza game ya ground, yani ilikuwa inapiga passes ina complete passes vizuri, inapanga ball mpaka goal, like they are playing from the back. So Arsenal should be very worried about Bournemouth, and they have a very young tactician by the name Scott Parker. Scott Parker, I rate him highly. I hope with the right tools and right time, given time, right tools, and maybe have a good budget, he's going to do wonders. So don't underrate Bournemouth. So let's go to Chelsea. Chelsea are going to be facing Everton. Chelsea watakuwa na kutana na their ex-player, their ex-player by the name Frank Lampard, player mwenye amefunga mabao mengi katika klabu hiyo. Ukiangalia Frank Lampard is the all-time top scorer at Chelsea. Then he is just an immediate ex-manager, and he knows a lot about Chelsea. The last time we met Frank Lampard at Goodson Park, we lost. So Chelsea, be aware of Frank Lampard. He knows a lot about Chelsea. He's beaten Thomas Tuchel, and we should be very worried about Frank Lampard and his team. So we should be very worried about it. We should sign the right players. There is talks that Richarlison want to join Chelsea. Yeah, he's a good player. I like his attitude and his shithousery. When he plays against me, or when he plays against my team, I don't like him. But when he plays for my team, I like how he behaves. He's very naughty, and that is what we've been lacking for the last 5 years now, ever since we lost Diego Costa. So I would like to have him on my side. But on the quality side, I'm not very sure about him. He's not that elite striker or someone that you can depend so much to score 20 to 30 goals. But he's very good kuprovide zile mashithousery, zile kuchokoza your rivals. So I don't know whether by the time you'll be playing against Everton, he will be on our side or he will be on the other side. So we'll be expecting to see what is going to happen. So that game is a very tricky game. Very, very, very tricky game. I'm not very sure whether Chelsea are going to collect the 3 points. So the second game of the season will also be against ex-Chelsea manager by the name Antonio Conte. That game will be at Stamford Bridge. The last time we met Tottenham with the last time we met Tottenham at Stamford Bridge, of course we collected the 3 points, but it was not a match that we played very well, exemplary well. We need to improve, and of course Tottenham has really improved since then. They've been doing very good business so far. Wame sign Basuma, wame sign Ivan Perisic, so we will be getting them wakiwa moto sana hiyo time, wakiwa na players wao, new signings, wame sign player wazuri. They are doing good business so far, na sisi bado hatuja sign anyone, so lazima tukue very careful kwa hiyo game ya pili of the season. So the first 2 games of the season are winnable, but they are very tricky. They are so tricky. We are not very sure that we are going to get them, because the first 3 games of the season defines how your season is going to kickstart. Of course, sometimes it does not define how your season will end, because tumeangalia mpaka Arsenal last season walianza vibaya, but eventually wakamaliza, wakakuwa in the conversation of kumaliza top 4. So we'll be looking at how that is going to happen. Then the third game of the season itakuwa against Leeds, also a very tricky tricky fixture. Itakuwa tunaenda Elland Road, so we'll be waiting to see how that is going to pan out. It's a very tricky team also. Last season we got the 3 points from at Elland Road, but it wasn't a game that we could want to remember, because we didn't win with a bit of ease. We won, but it was not that easy. So we're going to be looking also at Manchester United. The first 3 fixtures of Manchester United will be again the first fixture against of Manchester United will be against Brighton. Brighton is also a very tricky team. Brighton is a very tricky team. Although they have lost one of their key midfielders by the name Yves Basuma, ameenda Tottenham Hotspur. Tutaangalia tuone watareplace na nani, but they have very tricky players. Akina Trossard, akina Mope, akina there's another guy pale anaitwa nani yule. Yeah, they have very tricky players ambao wanaweza cause majina, akina Danny Welbeck wanaweza haribu patia Manchester United game ya kwanza of the season, waharibie Erik ten Hag game yake ya kwanza of the season na akaribishwa England, ambiwe hapa vile kunaenda, but they have to be very careful, but we expect them to be winning. The caliber and the stature of Manchester United should be winning such matches. Then second game of the season watakuwa wanacheza na Brentford, another tricky team. Brentford is also another tricky team. Hatujui the season wamejipanga vipi. Last season they were causing a lot of trouble, though I remember last season, if I'm not very wrong, Cristiano Ronaldo scored a hat-trick against Brentford. If not a hat-trick, it was a brace. So we will be expecting Cristiano to be on a good shape this season, so at least to lead the strike force na afunge mabao mengi, tuone kama anaweza kuwa in a conversation tena ya golden boot. He's doing well. Hope he is going to upgrade, is going to up his game at least, na asaidie team kufunga mabao. So the third game of the season watakuwa wacheza na Liverpool. That's a great deal. Liverpool ambao wamesign saizo, wameshasign player wawili tayari, wameshasign Darwin, wameshasign Fabio is it Fabio Cannavaro, right? Fabio Cavallo. They've signed good players. Front line yao inakaa poa sana, inatishia. Ukiangalia vile wanacheza, Mabeya waseni wakali sana. So Liverpool against Manchester United will be a great deal. Itakuwa game of the season. In fact, by that time itakuwa ndo game ya nguvu sana itakuwa inachezwa. Apart from the London derbies ambazo itakuwa zinachezwa against Chelsea na Tottenham Hotspur, Liverpool Manchester United itakuwa ni derby moja kali sana ambayo tutakuwa tunangoja the season ikianza. So guys, nataka mniambie expectations zenu kwa timu zenu ambazo nimetaja hapo chini, the first 3 games of the season. Tell us what you think about those fixtures. Give us the maximum point that you think your team is going to get. Give it in the section, the comment section below, and let us have a conversation. And thank you so much for those guys who are commenting below. Thank you so much for the guys who are you are continuing the conversation and everything that you are doing, sharing, and the feedback that I'm getting. I'm so excited. Let us continue communicating. Tutengeneze channel tuweze kudiscuss about football.